hashtags, and we invited influencers from social media, got loads of coverage in the South Asian press about the film, did loads of interviews on radio, getting ready to release it ourselves in cinemas directly. And alongside releasing it in cinemas, we did private BAFTA screenings, so finding a really swanky hotel and inviting BAFTA members to come and meet the cast and crew and watch the film in a really intimate environment to kind of encourage them to vote for the film and to understand a bit more about our journey and our cycle. So that as BAFTA members or BIFA members, they would vote for our film. We were competing with, multi-million pound productions going for the same awards, and they could afford to rent out the whole of a cinema in the centre of London, and we had to beg a hotel screening room in a basement, and that's what this is. Very nice hotel, though, so thank you very much to that hotel. And then the cycle didn't end. We released it in cinemas. Like I said, we had funding to release in 12 screens. In the end, we exceeded 716 screens. So we went from 12 to 700 plus. That was purely based on the cinemas booking it for one screening only, and the audience is turning up, and then the cinemas going, can we keep it? And they kept it, and they kept it, and they kept it, and we got to number 35 in the UK box office through our own self-distribution. So we were pretty impressed with ourselves, which is great, thank you. And we were literally delivering the files ourselves, doing everything ourselves. The actors were amazing, the director was amazing, everyone was on board. And about a year later, we managed to get a deal with a streaming broadcaster, our national ITV independent television, are now streaming it for free in the UK only. And we also have it for digital download in North America on Amazon and other platforms all over North America and Canada. So we managed to get it to streaming. It's streaming free in the UK now. And that is the whole kind of cycle from start to finish. So I think I whistled through that, I hope. So I've still got now plenty of time for questions for any stage of that cycle. I can see I've already got one, but happy to take as many as you can fit in the time. There's one person up here.
Hello. First of all, thank you so much for sharing. That's super, super helpful to see an actual lived live experience versus the hypothetical that usually comes from the festivals, to be fair. So thank you for that. I have a few questions. I'll limit it to 2 for now, but if no one else asks, please come back to me. I'm curious as to this entire circuit, how long it took for the lobbying and the PR and even the travel costs, and who paid for it? And 2, who owns the final IP? Because I'm looking at you, and you are like literally invested in the entire cycle and process. So I'm wondering, do you own the IP, and how did you get paid?
Really, really good questions. I'll start with the first one, the whole cycle. So we made it in 2021, 2022. We did some pickups, so it crossed the years. So it was 12 months script to screen. And then we premiered it like June 2022 at London Indian Film Festival. And then it took like a year to then get all through the awards circuit, all through that September, October is when BAFTA, BIFA voting goes on. And then we released it in cinemas the following we would have done it the other way around. So we released it in the cinemas in 2023. And then at the end of 2023 is when we did the awards, BAFTA and BIFA. So yeah, it's weird trying to remember all the way, which way round we did everything. But once we put it in cinemas, it was eligible then for the awards. So then we had to do the awards whole circuit after that again. So you do it once to try and, get into the festivals and get awards there. And then you do it again once you get to cinema to try and get Independent British Film of the Year or whatever you can for the BAFTAs. And by the way, I think to enter the BAFTAs is like £900 per category. So talking to the point of the money, so we made this kind of stupidly through a not-for-profit, because one, it's stupid because it endangers the not-for-profit. So if you're talking about large amounts of money, it could destabilize a not-for-profit, and also you can't make commercial ventures through not-for-profits in the UK. So we ultimately knew when we made this, it was highly unlikely we'd recoup. But now, potentially, looking at the trajectory, we could potentially recoup, and that poses another set of problems when you're a not-for-profit that then starts to make commercial revenue from a potentially commercial product that you didn't intend to make commercially. So it's very, very successful non-commercial film. And the money, essentially, it was a skills project, which links into the talk we had earlier. So the first people that came in were a trust and foundation in the UK who said to our organisation, how can we get unemployed freelancers, self-employed people in the creative industries back into work during this difficult period where self-employed people were just laid off around the world. And I foolishly said, oh, we could make a film and we could hire them all. And, I can hear an echo. So the funder said, how much do you need to make a feature film? And I foolishly said £100,000, which was really stupid because you need at least $1 million in the UK to even pay everyone. But having then the funder turn around and go, okay, here's £100,000, we then had to fundraise the rest. And we did crowdfunding, we did in-kind support from camera hire companies. Every single person on the production was paid. That was crucial to us because the point of the production was that everybody should be paid at a time when everyone was unemployed. So everyone was paid, but everything else was pretty much in-kind, donated, and subsidised. And then we also managed to have a couple of lottery grants that we used for certain elements of the project to support the training of the young people and the adults that were on the programme. We have a programme in the UK that was called Kickstart for unemployed young people under 25. And we had 10 Kickstarters working, which was paid, they were all paid through a government scheme. So we didn't have to pay their salaries for the whole of the production and post-production. So that added up to around £500,000 cash and about £1.2 million in terms of actual cost from all the in-kind. And out of that, all of my team at the not-for-profit, we all worked on that production as PAYE sort of employees on our normal salaries. So, if the apprentice was paid, 15,000, they were paid 15,000 to work on the production. And any overtime we did was accrued and then they got it off. So it was just about 20 employees and then about 200 freelance crew paid out of that budget. And every single stage after cost more money, applying to the BAFTAs, making all of the assets, everything we had to then fundraise through different funders. And getting it into the cinema, we were really lucky. We put a bid into the BFI and we went against major distributors and sales agents who go into the same audience fund grant process. And we got as much money as a film called After Sun, which did really well on circuit. We got the same grant as After Sun to release our film, which at the time everyone was like, what is Little English and who are Resource Productions? And then I think at one point we beat After Sun in the box office somewhere, so I was quite happy. So yeah, it was just grants at every stage. And the second part of your question, sorry? The IP is all the projects that we do in the UK, the writer retains, the writer's rights. The IP technically is owned by Resource Productions CIC, which is a non-profit, hence the problem with any revenues that come in. It's not necessarily a problem. We'll just reinvest it into future short form or feature form productions, but no one will make any money out of that production except the non-profit, which hopefully then can further its mission if we ever break even, which at the moment we might do in another 3 or 4 years, but it's a long process selling territory by territory. Long answer, but I think we've got time for 1 or 2 more. There's one at the back. So.
Hello, hi. First of all, I just want to say congratulations on the film. It looks incredible, and I've never watched it. But I just have 2 questions. So first of all, what your tips and tricks and to requesting for funds for the movie, because this is, I feel like, the crucial point in making a movie. Like if you don't find the right people, sometimes it's just it really becomes a hassle into making it. To making a movie. And my second question is, where can I watch the movie?
I'll take the second one first, which is really frustrating to me, is that we haven't sold in this region. So technically you can't watch it here, which is really, really frustrating for me as a filmmaker. So as I say, North America and Canada, they can pay per view and download. And in the UK, we can watch it for free on our national broadcaster. But we're still trying to sell to territories, and that still is a massive, massive problem. We know there's audiences, but we have to find a platform that will take it and license it. And it's not even like we're asking loads of money. It's not for profit. It's just literally getting someone to pick it up. So if anyone knows anyone that wants to pick it up in this region, then you can watch it, which would be amazing. And then the other question in terms of raising the finance, right now we're trying to raise finance for our second feature. And the first one was really a happy accident, albeit during a global pandemic, which hopefully will not be repeated. But the things that I picked up was essentially working with supply chain, so camera, lighting, studios, partners who can offer stuff in kind as their investment into the production is the only way that I can see us making another film in the UK. Working with global partners and doing co-production. There are amazing treaties in place. There are amazing incentives in every region now. So if you were to do a production, you know, here in Dubai with the Indian treaty and someone in Europe, you can get incentives and tax breaks from all of those and match them together in different ways. And then the core thing is it's basically, you know, it's cash capital investment. Right now, none of the major kind of players are investing in independent film. They're just not. It's a really challenging marketplace. And so trying to keep your low budget film, which for us in the UK is a minimum of really of 3 million, and to try and find one investor, whether that's an individual of high net worth, or whether that is a potential trust or foundation, or in our case, we utilize skills as the motivator. It wasn't that we were making a film, we were running a skills project. And that skills project happened to output a feature film, which turned out to be pretty good. That is how we made the first film. I'm not sure that's replicable, but right now it's not a great market in Europe to find that individual financial investment that triggers all of the incentives. It's a big problem that no one's found the solution to at the moment, other than making rich friends and saying, will you give me the first 500,000? And then that draws down all of the rest. So if you can get 500,000 to 1 million, the rest comes relatively straightforwardly, but it's that first 500 to 1 million, which is really, really difficult. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dominique, for the in-detail journey. My question is, when you're gonna not drop the ball, but when you're gonna work on the next project? Because it's all about becoming, not having. Because sometimes you have this film as a proof of concept. I can do feature film, so hire me to do feature films. So sometimes it takes you like 3, 4, 5 years. Not to be Don Quixote chasing the windmills, but life is too short, and sometimes the ideas evaporate. We feel cold about the passion to make films fade away. So when do you think you will stop chasing the other people to pick up your project and distribute it and work on the next one?
So the answer is you can never stop doing either of those. So when we made this film, we had a slate of 15 other films. We continue to try and sell them all the time we were making this. We still haven't sold any of those. We continue to do that. I've set myself a personal goal of trying to raise 1 million by this December, because I feel like if you don't set yourself a mental goal, it will never happen, as you're saying. Where I'm going to find that first 500 to 1 million we just discussed, I don't yet know. But you have to kind of convince yourself that someone out there will give you the first bit of the jigsaw puzzle. The rest, like I say, is a pretty straightforward finance plan. So you're absolutely right. You can't just kind of chase trying to sell this. However, when people are telling you that the South Asian diaspora is a niche market, you feel you have to prove a point. And so it's essential for the rest of our films, many of which are South Asian, some Arab, some African content, all diaspora projects, that if we don't make the point of getting the first film into those markets, we're going to have the same problem with film 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're seeing that with our contemporaries who have much more resources and much more money. They're struggling with those markets and distribution.
Can I tell you something? The highest gross Arab film was Kafr Nahum by Nadine Labki, 53 or 59 million dollars in China, because Chinese audience thought this is an Indian film. Mm-hmm. So it was a happy accident, but it can be like it can happen.
Definitely.
Because actually Asians are the majority of the world, so you can. It's a huge market.
Yeah.
It's not niche.
Yeah.
I disagree.
I know. I agree. I agree.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it was. I don't know if we've got time for one more. There was another person who had their hand up, I think.
Yeah, hi. You mentioned that the total budget was around 1.2 million, yeah? So how does that approximately break down where's the bulk of that. That's just the first question. The second thing is, there's obviously been a lot of talk recently on film tariffs, certainly from exporting from the UK. I mean, what's your thoughts on that? Would it affect your film? Because you've already, sounds like you've already sold it in the States, and just general thoughts on that.
I mean, I think everyone's still trying to work out how you can put a tariff on a service. So I think I'm not going to tackle that. I'll leave that to politicians to figure out. But I don't think it's going to impact the independent European or even global independent productions. We're so far removed from that kind of concern. We're scrabbling around to get 1 million, and they're talking about millions. So it's a different kettle of fish to what we do. But the 1.2 million, so about £500,000 was on paying people to deliver services. So that's just literally, in some cases, minimum UK wage for the trainee for all the hours they worked, all the way up to freelance rates, which, by the way, everyone agreed as the same rate. The lead actor was paid the same as supporting artists. The HODs were paid the same as all the other professionals. So we got all the crew and all the cast to sign up to that equity agreement not equity as in the union, but equity as in equitable, which is highly unusual. And even with that, it was £500,000 just to pay people for the hours that they worked. So that's really important, and you can't negotiate on that because it's people's livelihoods. And ideally, you'd like to pay them what they're worth, which is double that. So you're looking at 1 million, really, which is why now we need 3 million to make the next film, because I can't be asking people favours or pulling them off projects that will pay their mortgages, their rent. So that's the most non-negotiable. The other stuff was post-production services, grading services, camera hire, lighting hire, location rental, transport, costume, set design. Probably like set design, we had an amazing production designer we worked with before, so that was kept right down. The locations were kept right down. There's a lot of travel and set dressing and makeup and costume. Those took up a lot, but yeah, the in-kind stuff, the camera, we used state-of-the-art camera equipment, which was given to us in kind for the duration. Insurances, even if you've got all the kit for free, that thousands on insurances. So kit hire is probably the biggest. Kit and post-production hire is the biggest chunk. And if you can get someone to support you with that, then it's great. Thanks. I think I'm over time, yeah. So thank you very much, everyone. I hope that was useful.